It was a beautiful day in Lagos, Nigeria, and the streets were filled with cars honking impatiently as people made their way to various social events. Dara, a tall and elegant young lady, walked confidently beside her mother, Adebimpe. They had just attended a glamorous wedding ceremony. The atmosphere was still buzzing with the sound of music echoing from the event hall. The day had been full of laughter, joy, and color as the wedding's vibrant theme was executed flawlessly in every detail, from the decor to the attire. Dara and Adebimpe were dressed in matching traditional asoebi, the silky material glowing in shades of gold and emerald green. Their smiles mirrored each other as they made their way through the crowd. It was a rare sight, mother and daughter looking more like sisters, radiating a beauty that turned heads wherever they went. As they approached the parking lot, a sleek black car pulled up beside them, its windows rolling down smoothly. Behind the wheel was a well-groomed man, Kola, who flashed a warm, charismatic smile that immediately caught Adebimpe's attention. They had shared a table briefly during the reception before Kola had been moved to a VIP section. Now, it seemed fate had brought them together once again. "Can I give you a lift?" Kola asked, his eyes shifting between the two women. Adebimpe hesitated for a moment, then smiled back. "That would be nice, thank you." Dara felt a surge of excitement, though she couldn't explain why. The presence of the wealthy, charming man felt like a shift in the air. She and her mother climbed into the car, enjoying the cool blast of air conditioning as Kola smoothly pulled out of the parking lot and into Lagos' busy streets. "Is she your sister?" Kola asked, throwing a quick glance at Dara, his tone filled with genuine surprise. "No, she's my daughter," Adebimpe responded with a light laugh. "Daughter? Wow, you both look like siblings. That's incredible." Adebimpe smiled, enjoying the compliment. "I had her when I was quite young, barely a teenager." "Oh, I see. You've raised her well," Kola said, giving Dara an appreciative look. The rest of the ride was filled with light-hearted conversation. Adebimpe and Kola sharing stories from the wedding and some tidbits about their lives. There was an undeniable connection forming between them. By the time they arrived at their destination, Kola had insisted on exchanging phone numbers with Adebimpe, his interest clear. As Kola drove off, Adebimpe and Dara watched the car disappear into the distance. There was something about him that made Dara uneasy, yet intrigued. Her mother's face lit up in a way she hadn't seen in years. After all, Adebimpe had refused to marry or even entertain any man after the betrayal she had experienced years ago. Kola seemed different, like he could be the one to bring joy back into their lives. Weeks passed after the wedding, and Kola and Adebimpe's phone conversations became more frequent. Every evening, the two would exchange stories about their day, sometimes talking late into the night. Kola was a successful businessman, always surrounded by opulence, but it was his warmth that Adebimpe found most attractive. She hadn't realized how much she longed for companionship until now. Adebimpe had been through so much pain in her younger years. Growing up in a small, close-knit village, she had always been seen as a role model. Her mother had raised her with strict principles, expecting her to be the beacon of pride for their family. But everything had changed when Adebimpe became pregnant at 16. The father of the child, Dara's biological father, denied the pregnancy, leaving Adebimpe to face the shame and scorn of her village alone. Her mother's disappointment had been immense, and the villagers had treated her like an outcast, gossiping about her behind her back. Adebimpe had never fully recovered from that rejection. But now, with Kola, it felt like life was giving her a second chance. Dara noticed how happy her mother had become. It was as if a heavy burden had been lifted from Adebimpe's shoulders, and she was finally allowing herself to live freely again. One evening, after weeks of courtship, Kola surprised Adebimpe by proposing. They had been out for dinner at one of the city's finest restaurants, and as the dessert arrived, Kola pulled out a small velvet box. Adebimpe gasped, her heart fluttering in disbelief. Adebimpe, Kola began, I've never met a woman like you. You are strong, beautiful, and have raised an incredible daughter on your own. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Will you marry me? Tears welled up in Adebimpe's eyes. After everything she had been through, she had never imagined that someone like Kola would want to build a life with her. Without hesitation, she said yes. When Adebimpe told Dara about the engagement, her daughter was overjoyed. Dara had long wished for her mother to find happiness again. Adebimpe had sacrificed so much for her, refusing to remarry because she feared another man would not accept her child. Dara had often seen her mother crying at night, still broken from the rejection she faced when she was young. Now, with Kola, things seemed different. Kola accepted both Adebimpe and Dara as part of his life, treating them like royalty. The wedding was a grand affair, with all of Kola's wealthy friends in attendance. Dara stood proudly beside her mother, grateful that after years of hardship, they were finally getting the life they deserved. Kola's wealth brought an entirely new world to Adebimpe and Dara. They moved into a luxurious mansion. Kola lavished them with gifts, designer clothes, and exotic trips. It was a dream come true. For a while, everything was perfect. Adebimpe had found love again, and Dara felt like she finally had a father figure in her life. But beneath the surface of this happy family, something dark was beginning to grow. As the months passed, Dara began to feel a strange, unsettling attraction to her stepfather, Kola. It started with fleeting moments, catching him in the hallway, their hands brushing by accident, his scent lingering in the air. Every time he smiled at her or complimented her on her appearance, she felt a surge of warmth that made her uncomfortable. At first, she tried to dismiss it as an innocent crush, the kind a daughter might feel towards a father figure. But the feelings quickly escalated into something more. Dara couldn't pinpoint exactly when her desire for Kola turned from harmless admiration to something dangerous. Perhaps it was the way he carried himself with such confidence, or how he treated her with kindness and respect, something she wasn't used to from men. Whatever the reason, Dara soon found herself fantasizing about Kola in ways she knew were wrong. She felt guilty, ashamed even, but the more she tried to suppress the thoughts, the stronger they became. It didn't help that Kola was often around. Adebimpe traveled frequently, attending business meetings and social functions with her friends, leaving Dara and Kola alone in the house. Kola, completely unaware of Dara's growing obsession, continued to treat her like his own daughter. He would bring her gifts, offer her advice about her future, and praise her intelligence and beauty. Every gesture from him only fueled her desire. Dara's mind became a battlefield of conflicting emotions. She loved her mother deeply and knew how much Kola meant to her. The idea of betraying Adebimpe was unbearable. Yet, Dara couldn't stop the flood of attraction that washed over her every time she was near Kola. She began to avoid him, staying in her room whenever her mother wasn't home, trying to escape the forbidden thoughts that plagued her. But desire is a powerful force, and it wasn't long before Dara's willpower began to crumble. One night, after Kola had returned home from a business meeting, Dara was in the kitchen preparing dinner for the two of them. Adebimpe was out of town again, and the house felt eerily quiet. Kola entered the kitchen, looking tired but handsome in his tailored suit. He smiled at Dara, thanking her for cooking. As they sat down to eat, Dara could barely focus on the conversation. Her mind was consumed by thought of him. After dinner, Kola retired to the living room to relax, sipping on a glass of wine. He was always careful not to drink too much, knowing his limits, but tonight, he seemed more at ease than usual. Dara watched him from the doorway, her heart racing. This was her chance. She knew it was wrong, but the temptation was too strong to resist. She felt a strong force pushing her to act now. Just do it. Do it. Her mind became a battleground and she couldn't resist the urge. That fateful night, after Kola had more to drink than usual, Dara's mind buzzed with forbidden thoughts. Her mother, Adebimpe, was away for the weekend, attending yet another wedding out of town. And the house was quiet. The perfect opportunity presented itself. Kola, visibly relaxed and slightly tipsy, sat in the living room scrolling through his phone. Dara couldn't take her eyes off him. She had watched him for weeks now, battling with her emotions and desires. Her internal conflict had reached its peak. She could no longer ignore the overpowering attraction. Dara approached him cautiously, offering to bring him another drink. Kola accepted with a warm smile, oblivious to the storm brewing inside her. She watched him sip the drink, noticing the slight stumble in his movements as he leaned back on the couch. His eyelids grew heavier, and his posture slouched as the alcohol took its toll. Seizing the moment, Dara slowly led him up the stairs to his bedroom. Kola barely registered what was happening, too dazed to protest. He allowed Dara to guide him, his thoughts a blood haze. The weight of what she was about to do bore down on her, but the urge was overwhelming, and she couldn't stop herself. Her hands shook slightly, but she pushed forward, a mix of excitement and fear swelling within her. Inside the bedroom, the air was heavy with tension. Kola collapsed onto the bed, groaning softly as his body surrendered to exhaustion and intoxication. Dara stood over him, her heart pounding. In her mind, a voice kept urging her on, telling her this was her only chance. Kola mumbled incoherently, barely conscious. Dara's pulse raced as she made her decision. She acted on her forbidden desire, crossing a line that would change her life forever. The moment was surreal, but Dara felt a strange satisfaction wash over her as she gave in to her temptation. She had wanted this for so long, and now it was happening. The next morning, Kola woke up disoriented. His head throbbed and his body felt heavy. He vaguely remembered coming home, having the drink, but after that, his memory was blank. Confusion set in as he tried to piece together the events of the previous night. Something felt off, but he couldn't place it. Dara, on the other hand, was unusually calm. She went about her morning routine as though nothing had happened. Her feelings of guilt and shame buried deep beneath the surface. She couldn't bring herself to regret what she had done. In fact, she wanted more. As the days passed, Dara found herself obsessing over the encounter. She longed to relive that night, to feel the rush of desire and power once more. But Kola, unaware of what had transpired, carried on as usual, treating Dara with the same fatherly affection he always had. His lack of awareness emboldened Dara, who decided she couldn't leave things as they were. She had to have him again, but this time it would be on her terms. Adebimpe was frequently out of the house, giving Dara plenty of opportunities to put her plan into motion. Every night, when Kola returned home, Dara would prepare his dinner, lacing it with a small amount of sedative she had secretly acquired. The substance was enough to weaken him, making him drowsy but not fully incapacitated. She would wait until he was too tired to resist, and then she would take advantage of the situation. Kola, confused by his recurring weakness, began to worry about his health. He couldn't understand why he felt so drained every night, even though he hadn't been overworking or drinking excessively. He considered seeing a doctor but brushed it off, attributing his condition to stress from work. Meanwhile, Dara grew bolder with each passing day. She became more possessive, increasingly viewing Kola as her personal prize. Other men no longer interested her. Their advances were irritating. Whenever she looked at them, she felt repulsed, knowing they could never satisfy her the way Kola did. She rejected all offers of dates or relationships, focusing entirely on her twisted relationship with her stepfather. Kola's confusion deepened, but he couldn't escape the trap Dara had set for him. She continued with her act, slowly tightening her grip on him without his knowledge. A part of Dara knew what she was doing was wrong, but the satisfaction she felt each time was too powerful to ignore. Despite her busy schedule, Adebimpe began to notice something strange. Kola, once vibrant and energetic, seemed distant and tired more often than not. He no longer greeted her with the same enthusiasm when she returned from her trips, and their conversations had grown strained. She couldn't help but worry. One night, after returning from a weekend away, Adebimpe confronted Kola. "Are you okay? You've been acting differently lately," she asked, her voice laced with concern. Kola, not wanting to worry his wife, brushed off her concerns. "I'm fine, just a little tired from work. That's all," he replied, forcing a smile. But Adebimpe wasn't convinced. She had a nagging feeling that something was wrong, something deeper than just fatigue. As much as she loved her husband, she couldn't shake the sense that he was hiding something from her. Kola had always been open and honest, but now there was a wall between them that she couldn't penetrate. At the same time, Dara's behavior had changed as well. She had grown more withdrawn, spending more time in her room and avoiding eye contact with her mother. Adebimpe tried to reach out to her daughter, sensing that something was troubling her, but Dara always brushed her off with vague excuses. The household grew tense as a sense of unease settled over them. Adebimpe's intuition told her that something was happening beneath the surface, but she couldn't figure out what it was. She tried to brush off her suspicions, telling herself that it was just her imagination, but the feeling wouldn't go away. Everything came to a head one night when Dara's obsession reached its breaking point. Dara could no longer control her desires. The pull towards Kola had grown too strong, and she found herself consumed by thoughts of him. One night, as she prepared dinner for the family, she made a reckless decision. This time, she added the sedative not only to Kola's meal, but also to her mother's. She needed both of them out of the way so she could act without interruption. After dinner, both Adebimpe and Kola fell into a deep sleep almost immediately, unaware of the extra dose Dara had slipped into their food. Dara waited until the house was quiet before making her way to her stepfather's bedroom. Her heart pounded in her chest as she slipped into the room, her mind racing with excitement, but fate had other plans. Just as Dara was about to leave Kola's bed, satisfied and fulfilled, Adebimpe unexpectedly woke up.